Are you overwhelmed by emotions that seem to be blown out from nowhere? Have you ever had clenched fists? Most times are defined by uncontrollable flood of emotions such as crying, screaming, panicking, calling out for help, repeatedly saying no, or even trying to run away. But that can be a flashback memory. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Habiba. I am a registered mental health and substance use nurse, and in this channel all that we talk about is basically to promote your mental health and well-being. Thank you all for tuning in again, and if it's your first time subscribing, you're most welcome. Thank you. If you are always around, thank you. Let's talk about flashbacks. Today's episode promises to be as informative as always. It is important that I let you know that we're going to be talking about what flashback seems to be like, how it varies from individual to individual. You will get to understand things that can precipitate a flashback. You would also learn about how flashbacks can affect people in different ways. And lastly, I will be letting you know all the tools that can help you in between sessions of therapy when you're experiencing flashbacks, or things you could apply so that you can always prevent these flashbacks from happening. So let's get it started. What is a flashback? Flashback is when a person relieves a traumatic memory. Basically, or I would say psychological trauma is the cause of flashbacks. Traumatic events can be any event or series of events that will be scary, threatening, and would cause extreme distress. All of this could be via intrusive memory, or it could be via releasing some certain emotions and physical sensations from the event. The experience of flashbacks can be fragmented with still images or not visual at all. For some individuals, they experience emotional flashbacks, while others might only have physical sensations. When it's visual, that individual sees all or parts of the event in their mind, and they can also present during that event. Okay, so I'll tell you events that can precipitate a flashback. First of all, I'd like you all to subscribe. I'm giving you lots of information for free, and it would be nice and kind of you to also click the like button and encourage your girl to do more videos. Let's get going. Thank you for doing that. Events that could have precipitated a flashback can include loud noises. For some people, it could be being in a crowd or having a physical contact with other people. They would usually not like a male or a female to touch them, vice versa, you know what I mean? So there are some people who would not like their kids to be touched by anybody, be it male or female, if they've ever experienced any sexual harassment or something during their childhood, or any adverse childhood experiences. There's also some people who could have remembrance days of their loved ones who passed on. So that's particular about people who experience grief. These traumatic events can be war, violence, car collisions, physical and verbal abuse, experiencing poverty, discrimination, emotional neglect, sexual harassment, living in an unsafe home or neighborhood, rape, or even hearing about or witnessing something traumatic happening to someone else. This is a term we call vicarious trauma, when you're also there experiencing flashback that can affect people in many ways, and they can vary in intensity. Some are brief, some are mild, while others can last longer and make a person even lose awareness of their current surroundings. Not everyone that experiences traumatic events will experience long-term symptoms. I would like to stress that even though you experience a natural disaster and client B also experience the same natural disaster, It's very important for people to know that your responses to these traumatic events will be different. Your responses to treatment as well will be different. So it's very important to know that the time and length varies from individual to individual to heal or to recover from this trauma. So when you have someone who has had a traumatic event, always try to remember that the time lapse doesn't matter. If whatever they are experiencing or they are feeling in the moment is what they're experiencing, it should be valid, it should be validated. Sometimes some don't even respond early enough. Whatever time they respond is the time they're ready to respond. It's okay. I mean, if it happened 20 years ago and they're just responding to it, it is okay. Some people would obviously start responding after 20 years, while some people might respond just within a year. Some people would respond 5 years from that incident. So it varies from individual to individual, and their recovery process varies as well. But it's very important to seek for therapy, seek for support, make sure you get treatment, reach out to a healthcare provider and let them know what your concerns are so that you can get healing and recover from it. What are those symptoms you experience during flashback? Symptoms can include terror, helplessness, rage, grief, tightness of the chest, which can radiate some pain to all the parts of the body, physical sensations, and lots more. I'm giving you guys lots of information for free, so please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would love if you could do that. Don't hesitate to click the like button as well, and this will help me to be able to be encouraged to do more videos and content that will be very informative as always. Into the gist, which is tools that would help you in between sessions of your therapy, or things that you can actually do when you know that, oh, I'm beginning to feel a flashback is coming, or you see a trigger and you want to avoid the flashback coming. You want to see what you can do. So let's listen to this very well. Number one will be to be able to identify your triggers. It's very important to recognize early warning signs so that you can take proactive steps into action. Proactive steps into action. Okay, so that you don't get to experience the flashbacks. And it's very easy to identify individually. Like I said, every individual responses is different. Some people could have headaches, some people could have chest pain, some would experience nausea, some will have ear ringing, muscle tension. Some people's chest pain can radiate to other parts of their body, but the other parts is you should be able to create a safety plan for yourself. How do you want to create a safety plan? I'll let you know. Most safety plan would include what your triggers are, what we just talked about, right? So knowing your trigger is so vital. You gotta put it in your safety plan. And do you know that some people, this trigger is actually just saying the story? I mean, that event about another person's experience, you know, when somebody doesn't know that this person has had this kind of experience probably when they were much younger or in the past, and somebody else is gisting somebody else about that particular story that happened to somebody else, the person could easily get the flashback from your story. It depends on the person, right? So you can, or some scenarios to happen when teachers are teaching. I remember one that happened when I was doing my master's program, and the teacher was talking about disasters, tsunamis, and all of that, all traumatic experiences. And I remember they advised all the students to be very wary, careful, and be prepared because it could be triggering for people. And so that's the same way with this video. It could set up some triggers for some people. So if it's gonna do so, please don't hesitate to do some self-care. Take a break when you need to, and when you feel much better, you can always get the information you need. So as I'm saying, when it comes to safety plan, what you'll find in a safety plan will tell you to write down your warning signs, your triggers. It will tell you to be able to know when to recognize them. Like, what are those things you will feel when they want to start coming? So when that flashback comes, what do you do? Or before it comes, what do you do? For some people, they might experience, before it comes, some people will experience a particular type of smell. Some people will hear a particular type of noise, more like auditory hallucination. Some people, it might be visual hallucination. Some people will see things other people are not seeing, like horizontal lines, vertical lines. Some people will see ghosts. Some people will see people walking around. Some people will hear loud noise. Some people will hear some things that are strange that other people are not hearing. It could be things they heard during that event. You have to be able to know what you experience as an individual, as a precipitating factor before that flashback happens. Immediately you identify that, then you want to quickly know what first step you want to take to make yourself safe. So those first steps you want to take to make yourself safe is very critical, so that you don't get into that phase where you are not prepared, or where you are not going to be able to manage things anymore. That is, being in emotional distress, emotionally dysregulated, or having a panic attack. Safety plan, you have to have those things you're going to be doing to nip things in the bud. And these are usually coping strategies. In there, you can also have contact of people you need to call, like your best friend, your loved ones, your family members, your support person, or your support worker, and even your therapist. You have numbers, phone numbers of individuals you can give a call to right away if the previous steps are not working out for you. So when the time comes when you feel probably you've called, they didn't pick the call, or things are not just working out fine as it's supposed to, then you want to move to the next step. Probably you've tried coping skills as well, it's not working, then you want to call the crisis line, or you want to call the ambulance. You just have to know what you want to do. So all of these are always in the safety plan. Because when this to come, most people are usually in confusion, most people are usually disoriented, they're usually not having the ability to concentrate or focus on anything. And that's why a safety plan is very critical when you are in that kind of situation. So once you just get the safety plan, you just look at it, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm supposed to do, this, without thinking about it. So what are the tools that we're going to be using? Grounding technique is a very critical tool or technique to use, and there are so many of them. I would highlight at least 10 to 12 of them, describe how you can use them. So what works for you might not work for the other one. Putting your hands in water, focusing on the water's temperature and how it feels on your fingertips, on your palms, and on the back of your arms. Does it feel the same in each part of your hands? You can use the warm water first and then the cold one. Next, you try the cold water first and then the warm one. Does it feel different to switch from cold to warm water versus warm to cold water or cold to warm water? It's called physical grounding technique. Another type of physical grounding technique is to pick up or touch items near you. Are the things you touch soft or hard, heavy or light, warm or cold? Focus on the texture and color of each item. Challenge yourself to think of specific colors such as crimson, burgundy, indigo, turquoise, instead of simply red or blue. You can also do deep breathing. Slowly inhale and then exhale. If it helps, you can say or think in and out with each breath. Feel each breath filling your lungs and note how it feels to push it back and out. Another one is food or drink. Take small bites of food or drink you enjoy, letting yourself taste each bite. Think about it, how it tastes, the smell and the flavors that lingers on your tongue. Number 5 will be to take a short walk. Concentrate on your steps. Notice the moving of your steps, how it feels to put your foot on the ground and then lift it up again. Another thing is to hold a piece of ice. I like this one. What does it feel like at first? How long does it take to start melting? How does the sensation change when the ice begins to melt? These are the questions you'll be asking yourself when you're doing grounding techniques. Number 7 will be savor a scent. Is that a fragrance that appeals to you? This might be a cup of tea. It could be a herb or a spice, a favorite soap, or a scented candle. Inhale the fragrance slowly and deeply and try to note its qualities. Is it sweet, spicy, citrus? Is it like a citrus scent? Explore them. When you're doing grounding techniques, these are what you could explore. Another thing, which is my number 8, is move your body. Doing exercises and stretches is great. You can try jumping jacks, jumping up and down, jumping rope, or jogging in places. You want to know how the floor feels against your feet and hands. If you jump rope, listen to the sound of the rope in the air and how or when it hits the ground. Number 9 is to listen to your surroundings. Take a few moments to listen to Do you hear machinery or traffic? Do you hear people talking? What are they saying? Do you recognize the language? Let the sounds rush over you and remind you where you are. My number 10 will be feeding your body. You can do the sitting or standing. Focus on how your body feels from head to toe. Noticing each part. Consider your hair around your shoulders. Know whether your hands feel loose or stiff on your sides. Consider whether your legs are crossed or your feet are resting on the floor. Cross your fingers around your toes. How does your floor feel against your feet? Then you can try the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. So you want to walk backward from 5. Use your senses to list things you notice around you. You can start by listing 5 things you hear. You can list 4 things you see. You can also list 3 things you can touch from where you're seated. You can also do 2 things that you can actually smell. You can do 1 thing that you can taste as well. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is highly effective, and those are all physical grounding techniques. I'll tell you some mental grounding techniques as well. These are very effective as well. You can actually play a memory game, that is, look at a detailed photograph or picture like a cityscape or busy scenes, and for 5 to 10 seconds you can turn the photograph face down and recreate the photograph in your mind in as much detail as possible. You can also mentally list all the things you remember from the picture. Number 2 will be the ability to be able to choose broad categories such as musical instruments, ice cream flavors, or baseball teams. Take a minute or so to mentally list as many things from each category as you can. And you can also try using the math technique, that is math and numbers. Even if you're not a math person, that's okay. Numbers can help center you. You want to try running through a times table in your head or counting backwards from 100. You want to try choosing a number and thinking of 5 ways you can make that number. Like 6 plus 11 is 17. 20 minus 3 is 17. 8 times 2 plus 1 is 17. It's as basic as that. For some people, they can try reciting something like a poem, a song, or read a book from a passage which you know by heart. You want to recite it quietly to yourself or in your head. If you say the words aloud, focus on the shape of each word on your lips and in your mouth. If you say the words in your head, visualize each word as you would see it on a page. You would make yourself laugh. That's another one. I mean, that's very lovely. I mean, crack a joke. You want to make yourself crack a joke. You want to make a silly joke, the kind you'll find in a candy wrapper or a popsicle stick. You may want to watch your favorite funny animal video, probably from a comedian or TV show, or anything else you know that would just make you laugh. You know, all of this and many more are going to help you to be able to come back to the present moment rather than delving and over focusing on that flashback. So I've given you a host or a list of so many grounding techniques you can explore on what works for this. If number 1 is not working for you, you can try number 2. If the mental grounding technique is not working for you, you can try the physical grounding technique. So you have lots that I've put down there for you on the list. So let's explore much more things you can do, and that will be self-soothe. You can also self-soothe. When it comes to self-soothe, You know what, guys? I'm gonna pause at this moment. I would express my request that you should please kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm giving you lots of content right at your doorstep, so encourage your baby girl. Okay, I'll talk about this. Thank you for subscribing, by the way. So we have something they call distress tolerance skills. This is a skill that is from the DBT, that is dialectical behavioral therapy. And this includes activities contributing, comparison, emotions, sensations, and yeah, these skills are very great when you're good at applying them, and they are very effective, and they can always help you work on your flashbacks. When we talk about activities, it means engaging in an activity, and this can be just any healthy activity like reading a book, making strawberry jam, going for a walk, calling your friends, washing the dishes, anything that keeps you busy and keeps your mind off the negative emotions will help. If you finish, you can move on to a new activity. You can potentially have a very productive day while awaiting the dreaded situation, which will never happen, hopefully, with your effective coping strategies. Another thing is contributing. It's about doing something kind to somebody else. Giving service can help you relieve emotional distress. An act of service is an activity that will help you get your mind off the problem at hand. Additionally, we feel good about ourselves when we help someone else, and that in itself can help you deal with stress. It can be as simple as helping someone to cook dinner, mow their lawn, baking cookies for a friend or one of your relatives. Each of these contributing ideas will distract you from your current situation. Another thing is making comparison. Put your life in perspective. It's very important. When there are times you face extreme challenges you faced than this one, you know, you might be in the most intense situation or experience at the moment. If that is so, you may need to jump back up to the TIPP technique. I mean, it's another thing for another day, but that could be helpful anyways. But if that's the case, is there another person who has suffered more than you, or who has some emotional suffering way more than you? Are you in a safe home while in another part of the world other people are not in a safe home, where they are searching for food, searching for shelter after a natural disaster? I mean, we see all of this in the news. We see some countries where they experience natural disaster, so you want to make comparison of where you are from where all those people are. So the goal of this exercise is not to add more distress or emotional pain to your current situation. It's rather to help you use this skill to add a different perspective to what you're experiencing right now. So the next on my list will be emotion. You have the right to evoke the emotion you're facing right now. If you're feeling anxious, you can practice meditation for at least 15 minutes. If you're feeling depressed, you can go ahead and Google some images, search like adorable puppies, or if you're in need of a real life, you want to laugh very well, you can put in anything funny on your Google search. Adding a dose of the opposite emotion reduces the it reduces the intensity of the emotion you're experiencing right away. Another thing is to try to push away. If you can't deal with something, it's okay to push the problem out of your mind temporarily. You can do that by distracting yourself with other activities, thoughts, or mindfulness. You can set a time to even come back to the issue later. You know it will be addressed, but you'll be relaxing in the interim. Another thing is your thoughts. Try to replace your negative thoughts or anxious thoughts with activities that can actually make your mind busy, such as saying the alphabet backwards or doing a Sudoku puzzle. All of this can actually help distract you from self-destructive behaviors, so you can achieve a great emotion regulation experience. You also want to use your 5 senses to self-soothe during times of distress. With self-soothing behaviors, it could be like taking a warm bath, using lavender, bath bomb, playing a relaxing music, eating a comforting snack, or watching a great movie, as long as it makes you cope with the present situation. So that takes me to my next step, which is seeking support. I can't overemphasize on that, and I have a video on that, on how best to get healthy support system I'll put the video right here so you can go you can reference that video and see how best to seek social support, especially a healthy social support network. With healthy support from family, friends, or caregivers, and through networking, you would always get a more healthier mind. So please utilize the healthy support around you. And so the last on my list is self-compassion. Self-compassion is very important. We should always try to be able to see ourselves as a human being and understand that self-compassion is critical in promoting our sense of self. Yes, with self-compassion, so many things can be well taken care of, and it's about practicing it daily. When you practice it daily, you get used to it. It's very easy to be tough on yourself, but we tend to do it too much more than we realize. But if there was a better way, we forgive ourselves, we accept our perceived flaws, we show ourselves kindness, we practice self-compassion. It's more harder than it sounds, but with the right techniques, we can learn much more on how best to make it a habit that sticks. So, all I'm just trying to say here is don't over-criticize yourself, don't judge yourself. All of these things are very helpful in helping you prevent flashbacks and addressing issues around your PTSD. And the last on my list is to make sure you follow up appointments with your doctors or your therapists. I hope you guys learned something in this video. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. It's gonna be a wrap for now, and I'll say don't hesitate to come back. Thank you all for watching. It's now the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate if you stayed up until the end, because it's a very lengthy video, and it took me a while to gather things together. I'm so sorry. I would make sure I make it up with you next time. We wouldn't be staying so long for a drop video. Guys, thank you all for watching. It was a great time here with you guys. Okay, I'll see you all in my next video.